everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today we're going to do the Totally Should've book tag. As per usual, questions are on my phone. Let's go. Okay, question number 1 is totally should have gotten a sequel. And for that answer, I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Are you sick of me holding up this book yet? I am sorry, but I'm not sorry. I think this totally should have gotten a sequel. I'm never going to get one. I just have to accept that fate as a part of my life. And it's not like the story didn't complete itself in a really beautiful way, because it did. It's just selfishly, I want more. I just selfishly want more from these characters. I wasn't ready to let them go yet. So this totally should have gotten a sequel. This is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Question number 2 is totally should have had a spin-off series. I'm holding this book up. This is Theft of Swords by Michael Sullivan, because I thought about it that this should have totally had a spin-off series, and then it did get a spin-off series. As a matter of fact, there are 2 spin-off series from the Rhaeria Revelations. So this is book number 1 of the Rhaeria Revelations from Michael Sullivan. It follows 2 thieves for hire named Royce and Hadrian. They get involved in this really elaborate plot for the crown, of course. It's always for a crown. It did end up getting a spin-off series called the Rhaeria Chronicles, which he is still writing, and that tells their origin story as a duo. And then there is also the Legends of the First Empire that takes place 1,000 years before the events in this book ever take place. So I cheated with this question because it did wind up with 2 spin-off series. Okay, question number 3 is an author that should totally write more books. The book I have here is Inheritance, written by Christopher Paolini. This is book number 4, the 4th and final book in the Inheritance cycle. Christopher Paolini published this book. When did he publish it? I got it right when it came out, and I remember I was waiting not so patiently for this book. I kept getting all the email updates from his newsletter. This was published in 2011. This was published 7 years ago. I haven't seen anything from Chris Paolini since. He does a lot of appearances at Comic-Con or different conventions throughout the country, and he does a lot of author interviews, but it's like, dude, when are you gonna write your next book? He kept saying that he was gonna venture into sci-fi, and I haven't seen it yet. So if you're a Chris Paolini fan, like, can we bother him to write some more books? I don't know. This is Inheritance, written by Christopher Paolini. Okay, question number 4 is a character who should have totally ended up with someone else. This is Mockingjay, written by Suzanne Collins, and the character that I am referring to is Peeta Mellark, because I'm not a Peeta and Katniss shipper. Not that I was a Katniss and Gale shipper either, but I just feel like Peeta was too kind-hearted. I know he was damaged from the Hunger Games. I know she was damaged from the Hunger Games, and then they came together and they eventually came around to loving one another. But I just don't think Katniss was ever gonna love Peeta the way that Peeta loved her. Really, I could have done without their epilogue. Question number 5 is a book that should have totally ended differently. This book I have right here, this is Me Before You, written by Jojo Moyes. It's not the ending that you're thinking of. It's not Will's choice to end his life by physician-assisted suicide. It's not that ending. But spoiler alert for this book, so if you don't want to be spoiled for this for whatever reason you haven't read it yet, just wait till I hold it off the screen. Anyways, the reason why Louisa Clark is as unmotivated as she is because she was sexually assaulted. I understand that it was probably put in there to, like, show the trauma and what can happen to someone when they're sexually assaulted, and she just lost all motivation. But I didn't find it to be as convincing, and I didn't find it to be treated with the amount of respect it could have been. I honestly would have preferred if she was mediocre just because she wanted to be mediocre, not because she was forced into this mediocre life because she didn't have any ambition after a sexual assault. That was just my personal takeaway from this book. There were a lot of other issues that I think people also took with this book. I haven't read any of the new ones, so I would have really liked for this to have ended up differently. Question number 6 is a book that should have totally had a movie franchise. This is Eragon, written by Christopher Paolini, so this is your second Chris Paolini book in this video. The reason why I am holding this book up is because it did get a movie, and it failed so miserably. They failed this book on all accounts. This was a great young adult fantasy series, and it could have taken off as a movie franchise, and they burned it into the ground. They completely destroyed every good thing there was about the magic in here, about the conflict in here, about the building up of Eragon and Saphira's relationship. They destroyed this book in so many ways, and obviously I'm pretty angry about it. This book meant a lot to me growing up, but they didn't care about the original material enough to actually bring it to justice on the screen. and I am upset about this. This totally should have had a movie franchise. Question number 7 is it totally should have had a TV show. Surprise, surprise, there's a Robin Hobb book in here. This is Ship of Magic, written by Robin Hobb. This is book number 1 of the Live Ship Traders trilogy. I was watching an older video from either Sam's Nonsense or Kitty G Books, because I watch their videos on repeat like all the time. But they were saying that they thought that this book, out of all of Robin Hobb's books, should have totally been made into its own TV show. And as soon as they said that, I was like, oh my god, yes! Now I won't rest until the Live Ship Traders becomes a TV show. There are so many amazing characters, there's so many different plot lines that you could totally work for a TV show. I mean, it's pirates, and it's live ships, it's ships that are alive. Like, what wouldn't work for a TV show with this whole series? So I will not rest until I see a Live Ship Traders TV show. Maybe Stars, but no, Stars has Black Sails. I don't want to give it over to HBO, even though that would be like the main audience. Once Game of Thrones, who knows how that's going to end. HBO can be a little bit too gratuitous with their TV shows, and I don't want all of that. I just want a really good network to attach itself to this book, and then I will be a very happy camper. Question number 8 is it totally should have had only one point of view. I'm doing another throwback here. This is Breaking Dawn, written by Stephenie Meyer, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to know the exact moment that I am talking about. And that is when we switch to Jacob Black's perspective, right smack dab in the middle of the book, and we learn all about his imprinting on Renesmee. I could have done without that. As soon as that happened in the book, I was like, what? I mean, yeah, the story was like barely pulling me through at that point. There was a lot that happened at that point of the book that was like already improbable for the Twilight Saga and the Twilight universe. But as soon as we switched to Jacob Black's perspective, you lost me. So this is Breaking Dawn, written by Stephenie Meyer. Question number 9 is totally should have had a cover change. This book right here, this is Red Knight, written by Miles Cameron. This is the first book in the Trader's Son cycle, and it totally should have had a cover change because the US covers are awful. They're not to my taste. The US covers of this series, they're very dark and gritty, and for me, there's just like too many graphics, too much graphic work, and like the font is trying too hard, and then they have a slogan on there that like killing dragons is bloody business, or I mean, it's just like it's too much. Like we can bring it down a notch. And so that's why I ended up buying the UK covers of this book, because I just was not gonna have the US covers on my shelf. They were too extra for me. So this is the Red Knight, written by Miles Cameron. Okay, question number 10 is totally should have kept the original covers. I have right here Shadow and Bone, written by Leigh Bardugo. This is book number 1 of the Grisha trilogy. I'm not a fan of the new covers. I'm definitely a fan of the older covers. I haven't read this book yet, so there could be some implied meaning on this cover and the other new covers, but I really enjoyed kind of the gritty Shadow and Bone cover, the Russian-influenced architecture on that one. I really enjoyed those covers a lot. I like the color scheme. I'm just not in love with this new cover design, so I think it should have totally kept the original covers. And question number 11 is totally should have stopped at book 1. I don't even own this book anymore because I hated the whole trilogy that much. And that is the Divergent series, written by, what's her name? Veronica Roth? The Divergent series, book number 1, Divergent. Book number 1 was average. It was, it was an entertaining read. It was an average YA dystopian for me. But as the books progressed, the quality of the story drastically went down. By the time we got to book number 3, I was completely over it, and I didn't enjoy the storyline of them coming out and getting into the Chicago O'Hare Airport. I wasn't a fan of that either, so it would have been fine if it was just book number 1, and then I had stopped reading at that point. That would have been great. Okay, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed my answers. That was the totally should have book tag. This tag's pretty old, so I'm gonna do the blanket, like, if you haven't done it yet and you would like to join in, go ahead and do this tag. Because I just don't know who has or has not done it yet. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at WhatCastRead. It's the same as this channel, so it should be super easy to find. And if you want to find me on Goodreads and be my friend, the link is always going to be down below. Otherwise, you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.